through my career and through coaching on the business side and in multiple different industries, one thing I have realized has been the strong foundation as leaders, that there is a lacking of strong foundations, not because the people don't want to build them, but it's usually because they don't know how to build them or why to build that strong foundation within yourself as a leader. And that is what I want to break down in today's video, to provide some kind of guideline so you can start building that strong foundation in you and why it's so important, not just in your business, not just in your career, but life as whole. If you've been following me for a while, you know that I believe in a holistic approach in leadership and the way you grow, develop, and evolve yourself as a leader. So that is what we're going to dive into today. But before I do so, please hit the subscribe button and comment below. Let me know what resonates, what does not, and share this with a leader that you know can use this message, because that is how I get my message out. I am Emily, and I'm here to provide tools on leadership, business, spirituality, and anything I can do to serve leaders to grow, evolve, and expand. So diving right into it. As most of you know, I was born and raised in the Amish culture. And in that culture, there is no foundation as a woman being a leader. They don't teach leadership skills, right? It's just like suck it up and do it for the guys. And the women are there to have babies and be a mom, and that's it. You don't have a career. You don't have leadership skills. You're not taught those skills. There's a lot of skills that you're not taught, but that is one of the things that you are not taught. But one thing that I did learn was problem solving. And the reason and how I learned that was I learned to become problem solving because that was the only option I had to get out of some situations that I got into. And I'm forever grateful for that. And part of becoming a leader, one of the things I have realized as I reflect over my journey of where I'm at today, from my very first job of being just a temp on a production floor and knowing that one day I was going to build my career, because my goal was to become a career woman, to become a leader in these corporate careers, right? And then made it and then pivot to the business side of things to help leaders grow, heal, and transform. And so I share this because it doesn't matter of your background. It doesn't matter where you're at. It doesn't matter how old you are. What matters is that where you are at now and what you are building off of. And it kind of goes back to, like, if we have a really shaky foundation, the house just crumbles every single time. And that's the same way with us as humans. If we are building off of a shaky foundation, we are not going to be able to hold large capacities. That goes for large businesses, large teams, large, it's almost like it goes for anything big, whether it's a big love, big money, or whatever it is. It's like, if it's on a shaky foundation, it's going to crumble every single time. And this is why I want to teach you how to build a strong foundation within yourself. So regardless of what you are facing or what you are building, you have that strong foundation. You can go back to that strong foundation, because there are going to be moments in your life that your foundation is going to get rocked. And there's going to be like, I don't know where I'm going to turn. I don't know what direction I'm going to go in. But if you have that strong foundation to where you can come back to yourself and lead yourself through it and not get caught up in the chaos and get caught up in the, oh my goodness, my world just got rocked, then you can lead from that space. And that's a game changer. That is a game changer. So how do you build a strong foundation within yourself? And it really starts with a lot of self-discovery. And through this self-discovery process, it takes courage, it takes grace, it takes a safe space for you to really discover who you are. And that's always going to be ever evolving. That's going to be changing. And I'm not talking about just surface level. I'm talking about the deep inner space. Like, go to that deep space. Go to that beautiful space that you've never been to. You're safe to go there. And when you go there, you find these beautiful gems. And I see this so much when I coach clients and I teach them how to go into the space and to hold space for themselves in that. Yes, as a coach, I can hold that space for you, but my goal is to teach you how to hold that space for you. So at the end of the day, you don't need me to be like, yeah, it's safe to go there. It's safe to acknowledge that. It's safe to see that. And that's like building that strong foundation, is that part of that self-discovery is going into spaces that you've never dared to go into, but your soul really wants to go there. And you're not listening, or you haven't allowed to, because you don't know how to create that safety within yourself. And if that's one of the things that you struggle with, I can do a whole other video on this. Let me know in the comments below. I'm happy to share those techniques that I've used and the tools that I have used to learn to help me hold that safe space, because it can be very challenging. It's not something you just wake up overnight and you're like, yeah, I'm there. It just doesn't happen that way. But going back to creating the strong foundation is the self-discovery piece. Really understanding who you are. What is it that you desire? How do you operate? How do you operate at home? How do you operate at work? How do you operate in your business? How do you operate when no one is watching? Like all these different facets. And it's really understanding those. And once you have that self-discovery down and you really know yourself, and this is a lifelong journey. Like, this isn't something that you just stop tomorrow. For me, I'm still discovering, and it's also a beautiful process, because then I get to also discover bits and pieces of myself that I had no idea existed. If you would have told me a couple years ago that I would be, running a business, and that, I would have a published book, and that I'm getting into public speaking and all using my voice to heal and all those things, I'd been like, yeah, you're crazy. There's no way, right? So that just goes to show, the more you discover about yourself and you go into those spaces, the more talents and gifts come online for you. And it's up to you whether you're going to utilize them. It's up to you whether you're going to step into it, shift your identity, right? So once you have that self-discovery and you have a process of really discovering who you are, and I can remember, this is just a side story, I remember standing and looking in the mirror and being like, I have no idea who I am. And that scared me. And at the same time, drove me to figure out who I am, what lights me up. And since then, I've been able to go into these spaces and really acknowledge, yes, that's who I am. And at the same time, by really understanding who you are, that's like a core pillar of being a leader. You also aren't shaken when somebody tells you that you are this. You can be like, no, actually, I am not. That I don't resonate with that. That is not who I am. Because I know at the true core of myself who I am and how I operate. And that is true power for you. True power for your leadership, true power for your business, and you won't be swayed by all these opinions. You won't be swayed by all this outside noise, social media, marketing, all these things that come at you, because you know who you are at the core. And that is part of self-discovery. And as you're building out these core pillars of being a leader and being the best version of yourself that you can, I'm a firm believer that we are always growing and evolving. And if we're not growing and evolving, we are staying stagnant. And we weren't created to be stagnant. And I think you know this. I don't think that I'm telling you anything new. But it's up to us whether we are going to stay stagnant or to grow and to learn and to evolve. And it looks differently for everyone, right? Somebody has one journey, other ones have completely other journeys. And that's okay. But going back to your pillar of self-discovery, that is where it starts. That is where your leadership pillars start. And once you have that self-discovery in place, then you understand and know what is important to you in your life. What is important for you? What are the core values that are super important to me? Not to anyone else, not to my parents, not to my spouse, not to my children, not to anyone else, but to me. What is important to me? And this takes some time to really sit, and I encourage you to sit and reflect. And as I tell my clients, this is your life work. This is what you get to do. You don't get to just watch this video and take in the content, but you also get to take action. And if you have resistance around the action, dig a little bit deeper and understand why. Do you have resistance around change, right? It's always linked to something. So I encourage you, as I'm making these points, write down the actions that you're going to take. And at the end, I'm going to kind of give you high level some life work that you get to do. When we coach with clients, we always give them life work after every call. And that life work looks very differently for every single client, depending on where they're at and their goals and what they're trying to reach. And the life work is never usually comfortable. So welcome to just a taste of what we do in transformative leadership. But it is life work to guide you and lead you into spaces that you will grow and expand in. And that's the beauty of it. When you know you are going to grow and expand out of it, then that's what it's all about, right? It's the growth and the expansion and all these moments of like beauty, but it's also working through that resistance. So once you have the self-discovery and you have your core pillars, like what is important to me? What are my values? What are my ethics? How do I operate? I encourage you to write that down and then ask yourself, how do I want to operate that I'm not currently operating? It's almost like doing a gap analysis. You know, I came from the automotive background, so gap analysis is huge. It's like my brain functions at a very gap analysis pace. I'm here and I want to be here. What's the gap? Cool. There it is. And then once I understand that gap, what's the plan to close that gap? And so I'm asking you to do the same thing. As you go into the discovery phase and you really understand who you are as a person, who you are at a soul level, what are your deepest desires? How do you operate? Then look at, where do you want to operate at? How do you want to show up? What are the gaps? And that's your opportunities, right? That's your opportunities. It doesn't mean there's something wrong with you. Every single person here on earth has gaps, no matter what. Every single person has gaps. So you're not alone in thinking that, oh my goodness, I have all these gaps. And every single person is going to close those gaps differently. And we have seen this multiple times working with multiple different leaders in multiple different businesses and industries. Every single person is going to be different. What clicks, what happens, because think about it, we were all created, differently, uniquely. We all have a different background. We all have a different, experiences that shaped us and who we are today. But it is up to us to take responsibility and accountability to create and to go into the spaces that we know that we want to go. And part of that is doing the foundational work of learning yourself as a leader and learning what are your ethics and your morals, what keeps you in alignment and what does not keep you in alignment. That's a key part of it as well. Because if you're constantly going out of alignment, and let me know in the comments if this makes sense, or if you need more information on what's in alignment, what's not in alignment, and what alignment means. I'm happy to do a video over that too, because we do tend to explain this quite a bit when we work with clients. But when you are in alignment, it's just like this flow and this ease, and it becomes super easy. And I know I spent like a lot of my self-discovery figuring out what's in alignment with me and what's not. And it wasn't until I sat down and I journal a lot. That's one of the tools I use a lot. I journaled on what's important for me as a leader and for me how to operate. What are my values? How do I want to show up? And what do I want to be known for? And then going through that and really grounding that in to be very strong and standing in my power so I'm not shaken by things. And so now when things happen, I know I can come back to my true self. And I know that no matter what, I'm here and I have that strong foundation built and it's not gonna crumble. There's sometimes it gets a little shaky, but it's not gonna crumble because I've built the strong foundation mentally, physically, and spiritually, which is another aspect of building a strong foundation as a leader. It's important you understand mentally, spiritually, and physically. If you've never worked out a day in your life, you won't understand how great you feel after a good workout. You won't understand how your physical strength can empower you and strengthen you and make you feel invincible and make you feel unstoppable. This is one thing that powerlifting gave me, was really knowing my own strength and knowing that regardless of what, I could always pick myself back up. And the same thing with the mental strength. If you are not doing things to build your mental strength, how are you going to handle those high stress moments? Because we're all going to face those high stress moments. It doesn't matter. No one is special. No one gets to go through life and not have challenges and have high stress moments. But it's how you handle them. Are you going to self-sabotage? Are you going to spiral? Like, how are you going to handle that? And then on a spiritual level, that can get tested in so many ways. And when you don't do the work to strengthen all three on a daily basis, you are doing yourself a disservice in building your foundation as a leader. And that is why it's so important to build that strong foundation. So if you have the strong foundation physically, but you know mentally and spiritually you need to build, or vice versa, put that in your action plan to build out a plan for you as a leader to develop a strong foundation. And when I mention leader, I'm also not just talking about you have to be in a leadership role to be able to do these things. I believe every single person is a leader, whether it's leader of self or whatever it is, but we were all created to be a leader of self. And if you're not leading yourself, someone else is leading you. Something else is leading you. And that's why it's so important for you to understand how to build a strong foundation as a leader, put these core pillars in place, and start that journey for you, because it's worth it. And it's the most empowering thing you'll ever do as a human being. Like, it's amazing. So I want to recap some things of building a strong foundation. And again, if you have questions, feel free to email me, comment below. Like, my DMs are open on LinkedIn and Instagram, Threads, however you want to contact me. I'm always happy to answer these questions. If you feel like you are ready to work with someone to work through these things to build a strong foundation, send us a message. This is what we do in Transformative Leadership. And to go back to give you your life work, like I said I was going to, this is kind of the wrap up of it, is sit down and understand where you are in the process of building your strong foundation as a leader. Where are your gaps currently at? What are you discovering about yourself? Where are you mentally, spiritually, and physically? What gets to improve? Once you know where you're at, and then write down where do you want to be at and close that gap. Make an action plan for yourself. Sit down. It doesn't take long, 15, 20 minutes. And just a reminder, no one is going to do this work for you. This is you. This is yours. Part of also building your leadership skills is accountability and responsibility. And that's a hard one to swallow for a lot of leaders. And I get it, I used to be there as well. So make the plan, put the action date down to when you are going to do the action to start closing those gaps. And again, sending you all so much love. Do the life work. Let me know in the comments what kind of breakthroughs came through. If you have questions, let me know. I'm here to serve and provide leaders with an incredible transformation. Until next time.